Well, if you love big whips and you never get sick of nose wheelie clips, then I have got a present for you. It's a video blog from Mr. BQ. Do yourself a favor and tune into his YouTube.
I think it's recording now.
This is Gabe.
You're Art Ekman.
I could never live up to that. There's not a lot of production quality into this, so
Yeah, we're doing our thing.
thanks to GoPro for making it look good, though.
It's all right.
Do you want to be in the vlog? Come on.
Come here, Harley. Say hi to Gabe's puppy dog. Harley. It's fine.
How do we intro this thing? What do we...
I guess I should leave this over here because I don't really need it. I figured I should drive 4 hours to come see Gabe because the question and answer vlog is too intense for just one person, and
it can't be done. There's too many moving parts to it.
right. So we came up to Gabe's, and basically I just used you guys for a good excuse to come up here and see my buddy. But it's fine. We're gonna do a question and answer vlog. So we got some questions rounded up on Instagram, and we're gonna take the ones with the most likes or the most comical if we see fitting, and we're gonna do the questions.
I'll be doing the interviewing, okay? That's enough out of you.
Perfect. Yeah.
I will be the interviewer. You shall be the interviewee.
All right. Perfect.
Without further ado, I present to you BQ365 Instagram, YouTube vlog Q&A. Are you ready?
Q&A is named after me.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
That wasn't one of the questions.
I was born ready.
That wasn't one of the questions. I was just asking. Okay. Our first one comes from our Australian friend, Mr. Forey_O'Hooligan. He wants to know, Brett Q, how many Chick-fil-a receipts do you have stashed in your wallet, center console, and glove box? LOL.
Man, that's a tough one. I go to Chick-fil-A at least like 4 to 12 times a week. So if that runs true, there would be at least like 48 in my wallet and truck per month. And if you think about that, like I always do that where I think about how often I eat at places like Chick-fil-A and all that stuff, and I think about how much money I spend. So I'm like, oh man, so if I've eaten there 12 times this week and then 48 times this month, and I've spent $10 a time, like $480. That's not ideal, you know. $480 a month on Chick-fil-A. That's not what I should be really doing with my money, because I have a little girl coming. So I probably need to put some money back for her instead of eating so much Chick-fil-A.
Math checks. Let's see. This next question comes from @swatling_18. What made you choose a Honda over the other brands? Follow up, what was your most memorable moment in dirt biking?
What made me choose a Honda over other brands? Man, I don't know. My dad had one whenever I was little, and not actually. I had one way before, like when I first started. So it really goes before like the 250Fs, because I was on a Yamaha for a little while, and I've had a Suzuki, I've had a Kawasaki, but those bikes didn't last very long. They were only probably a couple months piece. But a Yamaha I rode for quite a while. But I just would see my dad riding the Hondas, and I was like, man, that's cool. Like I want to be like my dad, you know. And so that's kind of what I started on. I mean, and then every other, like I got so used to it, and I was so comfortable on it that whenever I try to ride a friend's bike or whatever, I just always felt just like a fish out of water and didn't want any part of it. So yeah, I just love my Honda. So that's what I stuck with. But my most memorable moments in racing or riding, there's been a lot of them, and I'm gonna leave out some really important ones because I just didn't think on this question too far. But my most memorable stuff was, there was a day in the hills that Twitch, Roxon, Brock Tickle, a lot of us went out there. Carrie Hart. It was pretty awesome. It was cool to get to ride with those guys, and it was like kind of like a movie, and then I was somehow right in the middle of it. It was really cool. But other than that, like my first race ever. I remember that really well, and it was just me and a few buddies, and we kind of all had never raced before, and we raced the 80 beginner class at this local arena cross that my dad put on, and it was just really fun because I was able to race with all my buddies, but because that's the point of riding dirt bikes, I guess, in the first place. But
You're not wrong.
and then there was this one time at Branson where Ryan Dungey crashed on the start in the first corner, and luckily he didn't come back far enough to pass me, so I won Branson, which was really cool. And not to be rude because I know it shouldn't have happened, but I beat Ryan Dungey one time, so that was really cool.
You don't have to draw a picture on the result card. You just have to show that you beat Ryan.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he was in B class, and it wasn't like he got to he was already at his top level, but still,
yeah, he was.
it was pretty cool.
Congratulations. So, Red Bull, if you're watching, here's your guy.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's ask another question here. This one comes from @jcurry607.
Hold on. How many likes does this have?
20. You got 20 likes.
All right. Fair enough.
So we're going in order of likes thus far. Well, except for 40s. He was up there, but so yeah, this one comes from @jcurry607.
I know that guy.
Well,
I rode his hill climb bike.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Well,
sure.
he wants to know, why doesn't glue stick to the inside of the bottle?
You know, I really haven't put much thought into that. It makes sense with like Elmer's glue and all that, but if you think about super glue, really, I mean, it's got to have some pretty good lubrication on the inside of that bottle so it doesn't stick.
You're a pervert.
I mean, but you would think though, I know people are gonna get on the comments and be like, "Oh, it's because of this, dummy."
From @LukeJackman45 or Luke.Jackman45, in case anyone's trying to follow some folks. How did you pick the number 365?
Well, I went to the World Minis in Las Vegas one time. It was something I was racing. I think I raced beginner class, and it was 2000, I think. And they gave me number 366 because I just came there with like number 4 or number 7 or something. Because I just wanted the fat numbers. That's basically what I wanted whenever I was younger. I wanted the big, fat, sweet numbers. Yeah. And then I didn't. Numbers. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I couldn't. I just couldn't really decide on a 3-digit number. I didn't really want one. And I went to Vegas for the World Minis, and I rode the beginner class. And they were like, "Well, you can't run number 7 or whatever." And I was like, "Well, I don't get it, you know."
Someone's already that number.
Yeah. So apparently, yeah, that number was already taken. So I said, "Well, what number do I run?" And they said, "Well, here, we'll give you random 366." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like that, you know, like that's a legit number." And I ran it that year, and I ran all year after that. And then the next year I came back to Vegas, and I was like riding novice class, and I said, "Oh, 366, that's my number." And they were like, "Somebody already has that." And I was like, "What the heck, man? Like I don't get it." And I already had 366, and I had clear over my numbers too. So because that was back whenever like before pre-printed numbers, you know, it's like
you had to make them
you would do the stick-on numbers, and then you'd put the clear coat over it, so it would kind of be like a pre-print. And
protection.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want the numbers to rip off. I didn't want it to be like 36 mid-moto or something.
Or like 3, then 6.
Yes, that like a big
gap. Like you have 2 numbers.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, they were like, "Oh, well, you can't be 366 because somebody already has it in your class." And I said, "Well, shoot, what do I do?" And they were like, "Well, you can do 365. It's open." And I was like, "Well." I was like, "Yeah, it's not that bad, I guess, you know. I'll just put a 5 over the 6." And that's what I did. I didn't take the clear back, take the 6 off or nothing. I just straight up bought a 5, put it over the clear, over the 6, and then just ran it all week. And then after that, I was like, man, at first I didn't really like it better. And then after that, I was like, it took a while, but it grew on me, and I ended up loving it. So I held on to 365 after that.
I like it. I can't wait to ask this question. This comes from @RJ Standard. What type of training do you do?
Training? What the heck is that? First off, like, I work also. I don't think people really realize it, but I work. I do concrete stuff. I don't really have a reason to train because I mean I know that it helps. Like if you crash, you'll be stronger. Whatever, you won't have as much of a risk of getting hurt. But I just don't really. I don't plan on going racing. It's not really my thing. So if I go out and I ride practice and I get tired, then it's fine. I'll just pull off and wait till I catch my breath again. What was your most memorable moment riding dirt bikes? Who's the coolest guy you've ever got to ride with? And don't say me, because obviously you don't have to do that.
My most memorable.
So I ride with you all the time.
So I'll tell it because it's kind of funny, and I've told this story 100 times. I know you've heard it. Probably one of my most memorable. I had kind of stopped racing. I was still riding a little bit, and I went to Grain Valley for the state race. You may have even been there. Like Tommy Hahn was there, Will, Tara Geiger. Like there was a bunch of people. Dude, it was kind of a heavy hitter. And so I came up that morning. I was kind of dating this chick, and I'm like, all right, I need to look cool. I'm going to go race today. Like I'm going to let her really think I'm hot. So we go to Grain Valley, and I'm like, man, I'll just ride Big Bike Open or something, call it good. You know, I hadn't been racing. I really hadn't even been riding, you know. And so I line up for practice, and I end up in like the pro practice essentially. And so I get out there, and it's like, I think you were there, so I really do think you were. And then I think you came with Nick Richard.
I did.
And
they broke his collarbone.
Yeah,
they broke his collarbone.
I'm sitting there, and it's like you, me, Will Hahn, Tommy Hahn, like all these heavy hitters, and the dude running the gate. Of course, I knew so many people back then. He's like, "Oh man, it's great to see you." He's like, "What the hell are you doing here in the pro practice?" She had every right to ask that. And so I'm like, all right, it's good, man. It's good. I'm just going to ride. But I'm trying to prove a point. I'm like, all right, I'll show this guy I'm supposed to be out here. Well, I just came up that morning. Tommy rode the day before. So first lap of practice, I tuck in behind Tommy. I'm riding so far over my head to try to hang on to Tommy just so I look like I ride the pro class. We come out of this left-hander, and it's like this roller section that the fast guys would double in and triple out.
That's where Nick broke his collarbone.
Yeah. First lap of practice, no sight lap, no warm-up. I just follow Tommy over it and just huck it. First lap. And I'm like...
I don't think I ever jumped that.
Yeah, I did it the first lap on a stock 250F. And I was like...
See, Uncle Gabe's a man.
I got done hitting it, and I came around the next lap, and I'm like, no way in hell am I hitting that again. Next question from @Turbush3. Once again, I think he may be joking, but he wants to know, when did you get so cool?
Well, first off, that guy is just completely out of his mind because I'm not very cool. But Trey Turbush, this kid is from Oklahoma, and he used to race with me sometime, or he didn't used to race with me. He was way faster than me.
I like this one just because it amuses me. @JacobTank217 wants to know, how did you get famous by being a pro practicer?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like I kind of got into it whenever... First off, I'm not famous. I'm not at all. But I think I got into Instagram and on social media earlier than a lot of people, and now it's like everybody tries to do it the way I did it, I guess. And it's just so crowded, and Instagram has so many restrictions and all that now that it's a little bit different to be able to get your stuff seen. But I still remember the first time I ever saw that Twitch saw my stuff, and he tweeted me, and I was like, oh my gosh, life is complete. Like, I've made it now.
This may be a little interesting. We'll kind of, obviously a lot of people, I'm guilty. I've got one hanging in my office. You've given away a number of jerseys throughout the years. People love to have a BQ jersey. Obviously, I've got a number of them. But let's back up. What, of people that have given you jerseys you've got, what's one that sticks out? What's one of your favorites that you have?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. I've got, like, everyone. I wouldn't have asked for a jersey if it didn't mean something to me, So that's first off. But whenever I was little, like Guy Cooper, I would wear his jersey to everywhere I went. All the races, everywhere. I was wearing a Guy Cooper jersey, and he would sign the jersey, and he would end up having to re-sign it later on because I would wear it so many times, and my mom would wash the signature out, and it just wouldn't be ideal. So Guy would just have to re-sign that jersey a bunch. But as of now, I feel like I have a deal above my bed with about 6 jerseys in it, I think, and one is Kevin Windham because he's everybody's hero. He's the man. Ken rocks him because he put hearts on it and love BQ, you know. But he's seriously a beast. He's awesome. And then I would say Robbie Madison's is in there. And Carrie Hart's is in there. And Travis has one in there. And Trey, I believe there's one of Trey's. So Trey has always been a good friend of mine, and I've looked up to the things he's done over the years. So it's one of my favorites. But I think it was one from the year he actually rode the 250 class, and he moved up to the 450 for a few weeks, and he ended up getting like 6 seconds or something like that. But yeah, it was that one because it was cool because I think there was something on that jersey like Geico, and it was a Geico jersey when he was on the Red Bull team or something like that with the Red Bull 450 team.
Oh, he filled up for factory Honda.
It was.
I remember that.
It was a Geico / Red Bull jersey. So I mean, we did a training video one time, me and Dayton, and I think I had nutty bars or Swiss cake rolls or something in the training video. Maybe a Dr. Pepper. I don't really remember.
We filmed the one at Hannah's too where he threw up before the
Oh, yeah. Sometimes, like, if you get on my Instagram, check out my posts. Like, once in a while, I'll have something that makes fun of me not training.
This one comes by at Fueled by Rearrick. Rearrick. I can't even say it. What do you think is easier to whip, a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke?
Man, honestly, 4-stroke is way better. I know they're heavier, all that stuff, but I guess with different styles of whips it probably would change, but with the way I whip it and the style I have, a 4-stroke's a lot easier, and a 450 is even easier than a 250 because I feel like the more power you have to help bring it back, the better off you are. So the 2 strokes are lighter, 250F is lighter, whatever, but I just think a 450 is the way to go.
All right. At 4Stin 6 Boy 4 wants to know.
4Stin?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like, yeah.
Like foreskin, only better.
Essentially, it's like, I don't know. He's got me confused, but I mean, each his own. He wants to know. I want to know what BQ listens to get pumped up.
What I listen to get pumped up, I don't really think that I have a pumped up playlist, but I mostly just listen to country, honestly. I know that sounds really lame, and I don't really listen to music or listen to anything to get pumped up. Also, because I don't really have a lot of reason to get pumped up. I just kind of go ride around in circles and try to pop a nose wheelie or throw a whip once in a while, and it's like,
what are you doing?
Between the time that I would listen to that music, I would have to get out of my truck, get the bike unloaded, get dressed, get on the track, and by that time, I'm not really that pumped up anyways. It's just like, I just am back to normal Brett. So, I live my life pumped up. That's a better answer.
That's
I live my life stoked to the max because I'm going to ride dirt bikes.
Turnt with the 2 T's. Brett gets so turnt.
Yep, twisted, bro.
This one's gonna be. I'm gonna take a turn towards negative town here because at _Colton616.
Thanks, Colton616.
What's your worst crash you've ever had, and how long before you were back on the bike?
Worst crash I ever had, and the worst injury. Was it the worst? What was it? The worst crash?
Worst crash and worst injury via.
All right.
Via dirt bikes, maybe.
Well, yeah, I've actually had some awful injuries and ones that were not good off the dirt bike. So that's another story, though. But my worst crash was, I don't even remember. Usually I knock myself out or hit my head where I can't remember the crashes. So luckily, I can't remember them. I guess that's a good thing because I probably wouldn't want to. But I've seen the one at X Games a lot, and it didn't seem like a very good one. And that dirt was really hard. It was not the ideal place to crash.
Packed in pretty good.
But the worst injury I've ever had, I was riding at Cowboy Kenny's one time. It was probably like 2009 or 10, and there was he had some doubles through the goalies and stuff, and I tried to jump 2 of them together. I tried to jump from a tabletop to the face of a double, and it wasn't a wise idea. And he had just filled in some mud and scraped off some mud behind that, like in between the double landing and the takeoff. So whenever I landed at the jump, the landing wasn't built at all for it. It was really short and steep. It wasn't supposed to be landed on. But I overjumped it just a little bit, and I stuck. And I just bought a bike from Trey Kennard, and his suspension was way too soft for me because he's way littler than me. So I bottomed out super hard and broke my pelvis and my back. I didn't even crash. It just hit the seat so hard that I broke it. And I rode down to the landing and fell over, and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck did I just do? What did I get myself into? And then I laid there for a second, and Kenny was over there. You know, obviously I wasn't riding by myself, but he picked up the bike, and then I was like, well, shoot, I'm not dizzy anymore. I can get back up on the bike. And I tried to lift my leg to get back on the bike, and oh my Lanta, light my fire. It was not good. So I got myself back on the bike somehow, and then by the time I did, I was sick and dizzy and too sick to ride, to be able to see to ride back to the truck. So I got back off the bike, and then I ended up doing that again and whatever. But I drove an hour back home to go to the hospital, and then they had to drive me all the way back to an hour on the other side of where Kenny lives at. So stubbornness got the best of me that day.
It'll happen, man. Stinking dirt bikes.